The role play is for a class assignment. It is not a real counseling session. Hi, Mr. Jones.
Hello.
I'm Ramona Wilson. Please call me Ramona. And this is just some information I'm going to gather about you and pass it along to the therapist. Is that okay?
That would be ideal.
All right. And I'm going to write down some of the things you say. Is that fine that I write while you're talking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I appreciate that. I have your name as Abel Jones.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Your date of birth, 11/16/55.
That's exactly right.
All right. And today's date, what is that?
Today is June 30th.
Okay. And your chief complaint that brought you here, sir, today, tell me a little bit about that. Your chief complaint.
Fear and helplessness. Fear of the event happening again, and helplessness that I couldn't do anything about
Okay, fear and helplessness. You talk about an event. I'm sorry, I'm not privy of that. Tell me, when did this event happen?
it. Well, Miss Wilson, it must have been about 2 months ago. We had an active shooter in our room or in our school that he finally made his way to my room. And at the time, I was fearful for the kids, of course, but I was helpless when he entered the room and took one of my kids out, one of my students out. That student was eventually shot, and I felt helpless that I couldn't do anything about it. The shooter himself did lose his life, and that's another part of the helplessness, that I wasn't able to, for the short time that I was involved with him, I wasn't able to convince him that this wasn't the route to take, and that I could probably save his life, because I knew that the police were looking for an active shooter also.
So he died of the student.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the fear that you're experiencing.
Well, after an event like that, you have a, in my mind, I kind of relive that moment and the fear that it caused me for the lives of my students and myself. But also, too, being fearful just in our everyday, I guess you say everyday existence, because now that you get to something like this that's so grievous, that then all of a sudden you're looking at things that happen around you. I mean, you know, you watch the news and you see these events and you say, "Oh, that's terrible," but it doesn't touch you the same as when you're actually there. Now you're fearful of, well, what could I do differently? Will it happen to me again? You know, and trying to say, what can I do differently?
Okay, you talk about the fear. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being no pressure or no intensity at all, 10 being the highest intensity, where are you on that scale with feeling the fear?
Well, Ms. Wilson, to tell you honestly, I'm at a 7 or 8. I am pretty much tense, and I believe that I'm on the lookout. You know, if I see something strange happening, you know, how is this going to go down? It's just going to go down, you know, where just, you know, like you see two people arguing, when they argue and walk away, or do somebody come out shooting? You know, is it a life or death situation? And that's my fear.
Okay. When you talk about helplessness, have you tried to resolve these issues of fear and helplessness with? Have you tried? Have you tried anything?
Well, of course, a man in my position, I think sometimes that I might have might drink to try to forget it. But I realize that that really doesn't work because there's no forgetting this. Uh, and just drinking myself away is not going to solve the problem, at least in my eyes. Uh, but there is a fear of hopelessness because you feel that I feel that I have to do something, and I'm afraid that something maybe I might act too early on something that I perceive would be a life or death situation. It could be just a simple argument. And I might take it one step further because I don't want to be afraid or feel helpless again.
Okay. Is this the only issue that you're concerned about right now? Just the fear and the helplessness?
Right now, I think that is it. I don't want this to progress into me living a life of being on edge and living a life where I feel that I have to have a weapon because I'm defending myself against humanity, so to speak. Um, I think that I would walk around with a hair trigger, and that's not where I'm trying to go with this. Even though you look at the news and you swear that the world is on the edge. At least that's my point of view.
Are you having any current stressors? Stressful situations that may be causing some challenges, other than the fear and the helplessness?
Well, I try not to mix the event with life's events of dealing with the kids, dealing with wife and family. Um, of course, there's stressful times, and I don't want those to meld into each other and become just a trigger for me. But no, I try to keep those separate. Um, but if there's any type of, I guess you would call it major stressors, I would say would be watching the news and seeing these events play out again and again in different locations around the country, and me imagining that I'm in that same position. It When I see it and I think about it, I don't want anybody else to have to go through that.
Sir, who empowers you in your life right
I would say my wife.
now? Okay.
She has been there. Uh, she talks to me. She talks about the incident and how it affects me, and how me being affected affects the family. And she knows that it was a hard thing to go through. I mean, I think any rational adult would feel that way.
Yes.
And she's very thankful that I was able to live through
Um, Describe where you are when you say you're still feeling this fear. Where are you when this fear starts to come on you?
Well, as far as location, I mean, I could be anywhere. You're driving a car, you're at home. Just sometimes you might be out on. I could be out on the field with the kids watching them play soccer or something, all of a sudden I think about their safety.
Okay.
Um, Especially when I think about my own kids' safety. That's one reason. You know, those simple things. Did they make it home from school? Did they get into the house safe? Uh, and you start thinking about all the different scenarios that can go wrong. Um, and within that, as you go, you know, there's a buildup. There's a buildup of fear. There's a buildup of maybe anger. There's a buildup of things. But the helplessness comes in because you can't do anything about it. I might be at, you know, I could be at school. I could be at the store. I've even gone so far as I've got us a security system uh, that now I have cameras on the outside, and I have the doorbell camera, and I'm watching them come in and out, and I'm watching the street on the camera, and I'm consulting my phone when I get, you know, another notification. So now I'm hypersensitive as far as security goes.
So I'm hearing you say your fear is pretty much wrapped around the children, or if you're around children.
Well,
Is that what I'm hearing you say?
yes, started with my own at home. Uh, at school, I'm always on the lookout for strangers, uh, who's coming in and out, who might I see in the hallway, or you know, do they have the security badges? You know, all kind of things.
Okay. Sir, let me ask you. I'm going to go on to talk about. We may come back to this, but I'm going to go on to talk a little bit about personal things that have happened to you. Have you been hospitalized for any emotional or mental conditions?
No, ma'am, I never have.
Alcohol. Have you or anyone in your family had a problem with alcohol abuse, or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone been admitted for that
No.
in the family? Drug abuse. Has anyone, you or anyone in your family, ever had any problems with drugs?
My sister,
Okay.
she was never treated for that.
She was never treated.
No.
I'm going to get a little bit of medical history on you. Do you have any allergies?
No allergies.
No allergies?
Well, yeah, pollen.
Okay. That's one for everyone.
Yeah, I had to think about it.
All right. And are you taking any current medication?
Just over the counter stuff, you know, just for sinus, you know, because of the pollen. But nothing I would say that I have to go to the doctor for.
Okay. Supplements like vitamins, anything like that. Do you take anything?
Yeah, I take vitamins, vitamin C. You know, I try to do the right thing to keep it together.
Okay. Sounds like you're staying healthy.
Trying.
Okay. And you have any major problems like diabetes, blood pressure, migraines?
No, ma'am.
Your education, sir. What was your highest schooling that you've had?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to obtain a bachelor's degree. Plus, earlier in my life, I've gone through specialization training. That I'm younger, but after that, I went back to school and achieved my bachelor's.
Have you ever been in the military?
No, ma'am.
I do have a couple of questions I want to go over about this shooting. You described you kind of not being able to get past that or constantly remembering that. according to the event, we're not talking about the fear that you're feeling or the helplessness, but the event itself. When does that come back to you? When do you start thinking about that again? During the day, is it just once maybe, and I'm at school, or is it twice and I'm somewhere else? When
Well,
does this happen?
I could be passing by a playground and I'll see the kids playing, which for a parent, you want to see the kids playing. But when I see the kids playing, then I start thinking about their safety. And when I start thinking about their safety, then all of a sudden I can, the anxiety, I guess you would call it, would come up, and the fear for their safety. And then, of course, the helplessness that there's really nothing that I could do. And I realized that it would be strange. It would be strange for me to call myself protecting these kids because the parents don't know me. They don't know what I've been through. I don't know. Sometimes I kind of think of, as we see returning soldiers coming back with PSD, and I kind of feel like, in a way, that I have the same. And it's not that everything's happening around me. It's just that I maybe am, say, I'm overly sensitive to the safety of the kids around me.
All right. I'd like to ask about religion.
Yes, ma'am.
Share with me your religious or spiritual values, your beliefs.
Well, as a young man, I was introduced to the church. And after that introduction, that during that time, I became a child of God. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And that's what keeps me together, because I'm looking at higher things than just what happens down here. I honestly believe that if it was not for Christ, then I would be fully loaded and probably carrying a gun every second. Now, I'm not saying that carrying a gun is not a worthwhile venture in this times that we live in, but I don't want to carry for the wrong reasons, if that's the case. And I do hold life in high esteem.
Yes.
But there are some dangerous people out there, as we have seen. And it does give me pause when I think that I'm facing these people with an open hand rather than protecting those that I love and care for.
Yes. So does, when I asked you the question about who grounds you, do you get a bit of grounding through your spiritual background?
Oh, very much so. But also, too, I don't want to come off as that I'm one for inaction. I definitely believe that I should, as me as the I guess the father figure, that I should be protective of those that are in my care, and that protection extends to maybe a life or death situation. And in some instances, because of that, I feel that I failed because I wasn't able to change the direction. I would love to have talked the young man down, but also, if it came that I needed to stop that event, I feel that I should have been able to do that also.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, you're talking a little fast. I'm trying to write it all down. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a question I wanted to ask you. What kind of things in your community, in your environment, do you feel strengthen
Well, at school, I can see the love and the patience that the teachers have for their students, even though in some instances it's not uh, returned. Um, in the community, I want to be able to see children being children, just having fun, not worrying about anything, not worrying about the predators and the social paths that we have in our society. Just kids having fun. In my own household, I want my children to feel free instead of looking around every corner that the bad man is around there. And I want my wife to feel comfortable being around me, that I'm not paranoid enough that any situation that comes up, I'm on edge.
Okay. And how do you, when you think when you think about these things, the fear, you talked a little bit about the helplessness. How do you explain this to yourself? How do you explain the fear to yourself? You're sitting here talking to me, but how do you explain it to you?
Well, I logically, or I try logically to say, what fear? Why are you fearful? Uh, you know the word. Fear is not something that we live with. Fear is not something I have to deal with on an everyday basis, and I shouldn't feel it. And I try to live during that, but I'm not fearful for myself. I'm fearful for the children and what may happen, which I can't control.
So you're aware that you can't control
Right.
the situations.
Right.
What resources do you have available to you, Mr. Jones, um, to help you with these problems?
Well, I've talked to my pastor, and I read my Bible, and I realize that none of these things I can control. The only thing I can control is what I do.
All right. Well, sir, I thank you very much. This is. Do you have any questions for me?
None at all.
Okay, and I will make sure that I get this to the therapist, and she or I will be contacting you and setting up an appointment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.